is FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by now. Here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Victory Monday edition of the JP Peterson Show. We got a special show for you today. My man Nick Geddes is back with us for the whole 2 hours today. Our producer today, Tim Ham, IndyCar Tim in Dallas, will be jumping in when he hears us say something stupid, which means he'll be jumping all in all day long. I've got my USF stuff on because I clearly lost the bet that Alabama would cover, and they didn't even come close. They damn near lost the game. So let's give the USF some love here today. We got the hat and the shirt on. We got Bucs stuff to get to. We got big Rays news to get to that we're going to get to off the top of the show. I'll say good morning to you, Nick. Good morning to you, Tim. How are you guys doing today?
I am doing fantastic. I'm glad to be back, and I make my return. Look at all the things that happened this weekend.
Jesus.
I mean, the NFL is just crazy. The Bucs are 2-0. Everybody said week 3 was going to be a dud in college football. There's no such thing as a dud weekend in college football, friends. There's no such thing. And then the Rays just drop a bomb, a Top Gun bomb, if you will, this morning. I mean, I don't know if 2 hours is enough today. I really don't know.
I don't know if it is. Hopefully we'll entertain. We will inform. I got so much stuff to get to today. Baker Mayfield yesterday. I had to get this one in at the last moment. We'll hear the sound here just a little bit because, Peter King famously said this Bucs will win 2 games. So I asked him, I said, hey, Peter King was right. Said you guys would win 2 games. And unfortunately it's 2-0, right? And I asked him about that, and he's like, so we'll hear that answer here in a little bit. So we'll get to that and so much more. And in case you haven't heard it this morning, Mark Topkin dropping a topper bomb. The Rays are going to have a press conference tomorrow to supposedly announce an agreement for a stadium in St. Petersburg. I can tell you this. I've spoken with or texted with Ken Hagan this morning. I'm trying to get some more information from him, from his folks and attorneys. What is that squeaking noise? Is that Riley and her toy?
It's my worst fear. It's coming to fruition. Been quiet all morning, and then we start the show, and he's found his squeaker. So
that's going to have to go.
We
could shut you down for a minute and go take care of that. I'll get this information.
Yeah. let me throw that. It's a little pumpkin squeaker. Let me throw that thing away real quick.
Didn't I tell you in the beginning? No squeaky toys. Your house will never be the same if you allow squeaky toys.
I don't buy these toys. I buy the ones that are very quiet, so I'm not disturbed.
Go take care of that.
Let me go take care of that.
All right. So here's the deal. The St. Petersburg is set to announce tomorrow. Stu was supposed to hold a press conference that they have reached an agreement for a new dome stadium in St. Petersburg. Now, I'm told that this is not a done deal. As with many of these announcements that we had back in 2018, in Ybor City, that was a quote done deal. There was, announcement earlier this year in St. Petersburg that was a done deal, but there was no done deal. So this still needs a city council approval and county council approval as well. We do not know any of the details in terms of how much public money is going into this. So there still has to be certainly public comment on this, and will the constituents be okay with what this deal is? And will there be any public pressure on the city to approve or not to approve? And here's a little fly in the ointment that happened this weekend. According to the Tampa Bay Business Journal, the Rays, Stu Sternberg lost a huge, and I mean huge, court battle with the minority owners who were suing him. The appellate court has ruled that a lower court's ruling of this dispute going to arbitration was not correct, and has overruled that, which is rare. Now, we did talk about this a couple months ago, that we thought this could be overturned in appellate court, and it has been overturned. So what this means is now this will be subject to everything going out in public, depositions, discovery, everything, emails. And as we've said many, many times on this show, that these are things that Major League Baseball does not want. And can this affect the sale of the team, a stadium deal? Absolutely, 100%, because it could affect who the owner of this team is. And we also know that there are continuing negotiations for the sale of this team. Now, does Major League Baseball want Stu Sternberg to go ahead with a very public lawsuit to get this done? Do the city councilmen and women of St. Petersburg and the county councilmen want to bequeath $600-700 million of public money to a billionaire who is being sued by his own partners now, and all this coming out in the wash? I'm not sure that's something that a lot of these political people have the stomach for, but we shall see. So I would say once again that, and I know a lot of people are going to say, JP, you've said it's going to be in Tampa all, you're just making shit up. Nope. Just like the USF thing that you said I was making up with Deion Sanders. We'll play that audio later on, and we'll hear from Deion how serious his interest was in USF. So vindicated on that, and we will see. Listen, if this stadium ends up being in St. Petersburg, it's better than them leaving, which they were never going to do. I'm still dubious that will get done in St. Petersburg because of all the things I just mentioned. I think there's still a long way to go. Major League Baseball still has to bless this. I don't think the owners have the stomach for that. So we will see. This is the Rays making an announcement, like we've heard before, about a stadium agreement. We've heard this before. Nothing has come to fruition. So is this more? I don't know. We'll see. But until, frankly, the city signs off, the county signs off, this lawsuit is done, and Major League Baseball signs off, it's not a done deal. It's not. But if it is, any new stadium is better than the shit we got. Ain't no doubt about it. But this is a loser of a location. It's bad for baseball. It's bad for Tampa Bay. It's bad for Rays fans. An overwhelmingly large majority of Rays fans do not want the stadium in St. Petersburg. So why the hell are you going to build it there? This is a disaster. It's more of the same. It's the same mistakes that Miami made, building a new stadium in a shit location. This does go through, it's a disgusting use of public money, an absolute disgusting use of public money in a failed location. Why would you do that? You've got issues in St. Petersburg, like redoing the beach and everything else that needs to be done. A convention center would be nice. You want to pour $600-700 million of public money into a stadium in a failed location that won't have a parking lot? Okay, go right ahead. If the city council thinks that's a good use of public money, let's see them which they have not done yet by now. They have not. Nobody's seen what the deal is. Nobody's seen how much public money. Not one politician has had to face a group full of people in the city commission meeting and say, "Are you really going to do this?" Not one. So I'll just say that you can have the announcement tomorrow. We've already had one with a marching band and everything else. Nothing happened. So we'll see what tomorrow's announcement is.
Well, I'll say what's different about this time around when it comes to these announcements is we're finally in the end game here. We have a true deadline set by the Rays that this has to get done by the end of 2023 because you need somewhere to play in 2028. Those are the facts. As it relates to the actual location, I'm at the point. It is what it is. They're staying in Tampa Bay. At the end of the day, that's the best thing that we could have hoped for. This team's going to be here for generations to come. The relocation crap that we've had to hear from the outside, we can just put that to rest. Now, the fact that we've been working on this and Stu Sternberg's are working on this for, we're 20 years into his ownership now. We're 20 years in. And since he's gotten here, he's been working on trying to get a stadium on whichever side of the bay. And for the end game here to be the same location where the Rays have ranked in the bottom 5 of attendance just about every single year, despite the fact that they've been one of the top 5 most successful teams in his ownership. That to me seems like a failure. Yeah, of a 16 years, as you said, of looking for a stadium. That's just the way I see it. I think you're going to get the uptick in attendance right away, as anything would for something that's new and shiny and everybody wants to go see it. Sure. But will it have staying power? That's the big question here. And I understand the whole thing. Like, nowadays, just putting up a ballpark and going to play and everything is not the way to go. Atlanta has proved that with the whole battery model and some of the other newer kind of stadiums you see. I understand all that. But in my opinion, the ball now, if this is going to have long-term success, the ball is in the citizens of St. Pete's court, okay? Because you haven't shown up to the stadium for whatever reason for the last 20 years, or even the entire time that the Rays have been over in St. Pete.
I got plenty of reasons.
I see a lot of St. Pete. I see a lot of people who, and this, I'm not trying to make this a St. Pete versus Tampa thing, because we've been on record. We love St. Pete, just don't really see it as a baseball town. But I see a lot of people, for what it's worth, on the St. Pete side, very happy for this and saying, like, this is great and all that. Well, you know what? Go show it. Go show up to the games. Let's have a real attendance. They're building this thing, with like a 25,000 capacity, which is going to be the smallest stadium in Major League Baseball. If it really works, you should be filling that thing almost every single night. 25,000 a night is not that hard to ask for out of a Major League team, especially a team like this that puts on a great product. So I'm putting it on the people in St. Pete. You wanted the stadium over there so bad. You vouched for it. The politicians vouched for it. Now you got to go to the games.
Well, listen, I think we're far from that. And I've got 25 years of evidence to suggest that that's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to get, look, congestion's not going to get any less. It's not going to get any easier to get to the Trop. Now, what are you going to do for parking? There's no parking there now. What do you have no parking lot? What are you going to do for parking? Somebody, are they building parking garages somewhere? Are they doing, okay, fine. Let's see that as part of the deal. But still, it's the access. The access is not going to get any better. And this is why the team is winning. You finally actually marketed your team and they're winning, and you got some fans. You got an uptick in attendance, but you're not going to win forever, especially if this cheap ass owner continues to own it. And listen, I don't think it's close to done. Look, how many announcements have we had of this type? We had the one in Ybor City, right? We had the Split City announcement. Let's not forget about that. Remember the Split City announcement where he said this is not a major league market and we can't survive here as a major league market? Oh, now it is? Now it is a major league market.
Yeah, and remember the comments from the Times article last week that I hadn't got a chance to address when he's putting out quotes of, I've never had the intention to leave Tampa Bay. I think I've made that very clear. And it's like, let's rewind the tape. Let's just go back 5 short years ago, or I think it was 4 years ago, actually, and the exact quote you just had right there, where they didn't view the Tampa Bay market as full-time baseball moving forward.
Right.
And then now you're going to
keeping it here because it was 2 months of the year, which, by the way, we all know he was eventually going to move the team, and his partners were going to move the team to Montreal. That was the plan.
So
there have been so many lies and so many mischaracterizations and so many, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and none of it's come to fruition. So tomorrow we're going to have another pomp and circumstance, and I just wonder the timing of this. You know, we just have this legal thing go down on Friday afternoon, which, by the way, the Times didn't even cover. How do you have a huge ruling by the appellate court with your baseball owner who's trying to get $700 million of public money from the citizens of St. Petersburg, loses a huge court battle where he is being completely exposed as a horrendous business partner, and this is gonna be the biggest public expenditure of money in the history of St. Petersburg, and the local paper doesn't even cover it? What the hell's going on here? What's going on? What are we trying to get this fast track? And how come there's been no mention of how much public money is going to be spent? How come the mayor has gone out of his way to have one-on-one updates with the councilmen so it's not in the public record? It doesn't have to be in the sunshine. We've gone out of our way to keep all of these negotiations hush-hush, right? None of it's in the paper. Nobody knows what the numbers are. And now there's a court ruling that nobody's even covering except the Tampa Bay Business Journal and this show. What the hell's going on? I mean, I think we should, if there's going to be $600 million of public money put into a failed location of a stadium, shouldn't there be some public discussion of this? Shouldn't there be some public discussion of who you're going into business with as a city? He has defrauded his partners of his fiduciary responsibilities in such a grotesque way You're going to do business with this man and give him $600-700 million of tax money, and the people of for a failed location, and the people of St. Petersburg and Pinellas County are okay with this? All right, that's fine, but let's have a public discussion about it. Fair?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, and you know how I feel about the Trop, by the way. And I know you don't share this opinion. I know a lot of Rays fans probably don't share this opinion, but I'm one of the few that loves the Trop. Okay, I'm sentimental towards it, and I'm just gonna say it right now. If we're just gonna move next door to the Trop, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the Trop for me,
right?
Personally, okay.
At least it's got some nostalgia with it now. Now you're gonna get some innocuous, no bells and whistles, small stadium with that has no parking in the same crappy location. That's the way I
look at it. That's the way I look at it. We're going to spend all this money.
Grab by Stu Sternberg. It's a money grab, and in some way, he's going to screw St. Pete out of a ton of money and leave us with a crappy stadium and a failed location. That's what this is. And if somebody doesn't start yelling about it besides me, it's going to happen. And Rays fans, that's on you. That's on you, Rays fans. You don't want this to happen. Trust me. None of you do. I've heard from you. We know what the numbers are. 75% of Rays fans don't want the stadium in St. Petersburg. I think the number's even higher than that. And yet this is what we're going to do?
And why would Major League – and here's the thing, too. Major League Baseball, I feel like, has a good amount of say in where this stadium is going. And I guess I've always been under the opinion, and maybe Manfred has said this publicly, that why would they build another stadium on the St. Pete side? And why would Major League Baseball allow this? So, I'm curious to see, again, where Rob Manfred stands on this whole thing. It just, again, none of it makes sense. To the outside, if you told somebody who had no knowledge of anything, we have 25 years of bad attendance, and we're going to build a stadium in the same side where the population of most of your fan base is not. And there's a big barrier there that prohibits. Again, I'm the type of fan, and I know there are diehards out there who I'll make the drive as much as it sucks. I'll go to the game, support the team, all that stuff. But asking everybody to do that when you could put it in an area where it's much easier to get to, the suburbs. We've been on and on and on about this for years, obviously. None of this is new information. It just seems like folly to me. It really does. And I'm just at the point.
And you're one who likes the Trop.
And I'm one who likes the Trop, quite frankly. But I'm just looking in the long term of how you're going to sustain this franchise and keep it here long term. And again, this does this. They're going to get this stadium done, whatever it is, wherever it's at. That's great. But I can't just sit here and tell you that I'm just, woohoo, we did it. What did you accomplish? What did you accomplish after 20 years of doing this?
Listen, I know that, mainstream media will in this city will herald this as some great thing. But I'm here to tell you, you fans need to have your voice heard. And you need to step up and say, no, this is not what we want. And I can't believe, and I know this for a fact, that if you put this to a public vote in St. Petersburg, which it won't be, if you put it to a public vote, it would fail miserably. It would fail miserably. So and if I was the city council and the county council, I would say we need to put this to a public vote. Let's let the people speak and see if they want it. Remember the yard signs? Not in my downtown. Not in my St. Petersburg. No, the city of St. Petersburg doesn't. The constituents. Now, of course, the mayor, he wants to make a big deal out of this and make it as an accomplishment for him. I don't think he would put it up for a public vote. And why not? I don't see it. I just don't. I want to get to some of the comments here. Christopher Cole, that could be a complete disaster. I couldn't agree. Or as Thomas Gass, same announcement in 2010. That's right. This is, remember we had with the Sale Stadium with the big sail as the route. Remember that? Same thing. Rob Hutchins, sounds like there's still a lot of work to be done. Yes, there is. And everyone's going to, again, hail this as a done deal, and it's everything but a done deal.
But here's the thing, too. What at this point, and maybe you have more information on this because you're in constant communication with Ken Hagan and that side of Tampa. What are they working on right now? Because it seems like everything they're doing, if they are doing something, it's either not being reported or they're not doing a good enough job of putting it out there into the public stratosphere. Like, what is Tampa realistically working on right now if they're still in the game is my question.
This is a fair question, and I was going to address this. And again, I've been texting with Ken this morning, and he's reaching out to their counsel, who has been the direct negotiator with the Rays. He also got a call for Brian Auld this morning to give him a heads up on what was coming out. But again, city and county officials have to approve this. We don't know any details of what the money looks like for terms of public money. So again, very far from being done. We've had no public comment whatsoever. As far as Hillsborough County, we expected, and Ken told us that we would have something by now as far as what their deal and their offer is to the Rays, and we haven't seen it. I know they're close, but we haven't seen it, and I wonder why we haven't seen it. They need to make something public as to what they are going to put out there, because now all my ranting and raving about this, if Hillsborough County doesn't have a legitimate deal, and I think they do, it may not be what Stu wants. It may not be sucking every penny out of the public like he can get in St. Petersburg, but it's a doable deal. And all Tampa Bay Hillsborough has ever said is just pay half. If Stu would have paid half in 2018, that deal would have been done. That deal would have been done then. We'd be in a new stadium on the Tampa side, a beautiful stadium in Ybor. If he would and now suddenly Stu wants to pay half, and his half is going to be $600 million, not $450 million, which it would have been a few years ago. So everybody got screwed by not following through on that. And Stu jerked around the Rays 100 and all the big time businessmen who stepped up for him. Don't ever believe that stupid narrative that there was no corporate support on the Tampa side. That's idiocy. I have the numbers. I have the receipts. Every time they print that, that's a flat out lie. So that's not true, but we still need to see something, I think, in writing that we can digest and say, okay, this is what Tampa's offering. Why not take this to Major League Baseball? As Rays fans, we could say, hey, wait, Major League Baseball, don't do this. Don't do this in St. Pete. Do not okay this. We have a deal here on the Tampa side that everybody wants more. You're just going to have to keep writing revenue sharing checks to whoever owns the Rays. If you do this in St. Pete, we're not showing up over there during the week. Can't get there. Not doable. But that requires Hillsborough County to step up with something. And we need to see that. And I'm texting Ken that right now. We need to see that. He knows that. He needs to put it out there. He's probably frustrated that they haven't been able to get all those T's crossed and those I's dotted.
Right, and as I said that before, a couple months ago when we were talking about this, when we had Hagan on, it's great to hear the talk and everything, and at some point you got to have action. And if there's one thing I will say about St. Pete, whether we agree with what they're doing or not, they have definitely taken action here. And with the whole gas plant district thing and all the redevelopment, they've come forward. I mean, I think there's a payment plan finally on this right now. I mean, they've come forward with the action, and I've been saying the entire time, it's great to have a hope that we have this in Tampa, but hope's not a plan. We all know that, and I'm still waiting to see what Tampa does, but we're getting pretty late in the game here. We've got 3.5 months to go here.
But the other part of this is, and this is true, they can extend the lease at Tropicana Field if they really want to. It's not like that.
But is Major League Baseball, though, going to stop them from doing that? Because that's the other thing here. I think Manfred wants to get out of that stadium yesterday.
Of course.
I don't think there's any option. I think Major League Baseball would step in right away before they would ever let them put another lease on Tropicana Field.
Well, if they had to do another year, they could do another year. If they had to do another 2 years, they could do another 2 years. It's not like there's an implosion schedule that they have to implode this thing by 2027. It's still viable. People still, like you, love it. I don't know why, but they do. They still go. So it's viable. You can still do it. And it would, if it would give time for them to actually build a stadium on the Tampa side, then I'd say, sure, do another year at Tropicana Field, because long-term, this is a disaster in St. Petersburg. It just is. And again, this is nothing against St. Pete. And again, I think most of the people of St. Pete don't want it. They don't want to spend $600-700 million. And I think once they're shown the deal where this is what they have to put in and what else they're not going to be able to build there, I think they'll overwhelmingly reject it in a public forum. And again, I want to see where this lawsuit goes. if Stu Sternberg in Major League Baseball are going to be deposed in a court of law for what he's done to his partners and all of the stuff that's in that lawsuit, I say again, go read it. It's disgusting. And they want to do business with this guy. I don't know.
And by the way, once again, because St. Pete, I think we all agree, is booming. I'm not going to ignore that. St. Pete is doing some really good things. I've seen the population projections, all this kind of stuff. That's great. But St. Pete is already, like, I think, in that beginning period of that boom already. And we've talked about how that downtown district, I enjoy it more than I do the Tampa downtown district, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I mean, I told you, I went to the July series against the Braves. The best team in the league is coming to town. Weekend series. I went to a game. And guess what? It was filled with nothing but Braves fans.
That's right.
And then I went out, to like all the bars after the game. Guess what? I saw Braves fans my age everywhere. There's nobody that's like the younger generation, people that are my age, like people that are, in their 20s or in their I don't see those people going to the games and then taking advantage of the St. Pete district, which I think is what this whole thing is designed to do. So if that's not happening right now, how can you project on a whim that that's going to happen in the future?
You can't.
There's nothing to tell me that that's going to take place. This is all a giant risk, a $1.2 billion risk, might I add.
Yeah. And public officials, they're willing to do this. Mason Bradford writes, terrible deal all around. The issue is location. Population continues to rise, and the infrastructure is not capable of supporting the rapid growth that we're seeing. I still will not make the drive. The drive's not getting any better, folks. Nope. It's more people moving here. It's not getting any better. If St. Pete loses stadium, JP, the whole downtown development goes as down. So this is going to happen, and fans have no say. I disagree with that. I think if you put a convention center on that spot, you're going to get way more heads in beds. You're going to make way more money than you would with a baseball stadium, where people are where you're still going to get 3, 4, 5, 6,000 a night during the week in some games. That's as opposed to a completely filled convention center like Tampa's is, overflowing every week, every month, where you got people coming in that are actually staying in the hotels. People that go to Rays games are not filling up your hotels. They're not. They live here for the most part. Yes, you get some tourism, but it's not a huge chunk. A convention center or other development, more housing is something that downtown St. Pete does not need the Rays. To your point, that there's not a bunch of young people moving there because the Rays play baseball there. That's not happening. Rick Holden says it's incredible to have an organization so damn good at developing players on the field, but so damn bad at business decisions off the field. Well, that's just because of your owner. It's a very greedy man at the top. Lonnie Wilkins, teams don't care about money from the gate as much anymore. They care about ad revenue and TV deal revenue. St. Pete keeping them feels like them flexing to be a city. Without them, they feel less. I don't see that. I don't see that at all. But you may be right. There's still the St. Pete Grand Prix. They still have other events. I don't see that. Mason, just want to say I never had a bad seat at the Trop, and it never rained, and it was always a nice 72, 74 degrees. You got that going for you, which is true. All right, so, yeah, this is going to be 28,000, 30,000 seat at most. You guys got a lot of comments in here. I want to get to the Bucs, obviously, so we're going to go ahead and hit a break, and we'll get back to this later on in the show. I don't see any. You see any other comments here, Nick, that you want to bring up?
Well, we'll switch over to the Bucs for now. There's a lot. I'll digest these during the break, and we'll come back to it for sure. But let's get over to the Bucs after the break.
All right. So jump on if you want to hit more comments in the section there. We'll address these as we go forward. But we got a lot to get to, and it was a huge win by the Bucs yesterday. We're going to get to that. The Rays actually on the field. We'll get to that. All the college football from this weekend. We got to get to all that as well. So stay with us. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Firm, JEEVES Law Firm lawgroup.com. Go there and you can contact them about anything you want from a legal standpoint. If you've been involved in an accident or your car was totaled, that's something they handle very, very well. You can find out if you have a case. If you don't feel you got a great settlement, go to the JeevesLawGroup.com and contact them through there. All right, back in 3. And don't forget, we're at the patio tonight from 5 to 7 o'clock for our Monday Night Football party. Come on down for that remote broadcast. Peter Blake and I will be doing that tonight from 5 to 7. Their happy hour always going from 3 to 7:30 every night. So go head on down to the patio tonight and every other night to watch your football games. Back at 3.
Have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Overton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance, and she stayed till 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000.
Technical difficulties there, Tim. Are we good? Are we good? We back? We're back. All right. Thanks for coming back with us here. We're going to talk some Buccaneers. Our thanks to all our sponsors there. I know we may have lost a spot or two there. So don't forget to head on out to the patio. 5 to 7 o'clock today. We'll be out there for our Monday Night Football party brought to you by the great folks at White Claw. $4 seltzers, $4 vodkas. Come on out and join us. All right, Nick, you got your Bucs hat on. We'll talk about USF a little bit later on. What a win yesterday by the Buccaneers. So many good things to talk about, and I'll start with the defense. That was absolutely ridiculously off the chain yesterday. The speed at which this team is playing now is for me anyway, reminds me a lot of some earlier defenses we had at the Buccaneers. I'm not gonna mention any names, 2002. But the speed and the physicality that they're playing with reminds me of that. They're a long way from actually being that. But these young players, we saw it from Yaya Diaby yesterday. We saw it from Vita Vea. We saw it from Shaq Barrett. We saw it from Levante David. We saw it from Devin White. We saw it from Christian Izzian, a young rookie. We saw it from so many of these good young players, Zion McCullum. This is what has me excited. Not only are the Bucs playing lights out defense, I believe they're number one again in defense against the run. I have to check the numbers, but they've held both of their opponents to 17 points. I don't know if anybody else in this league is doing that. That pass rush yesterday was ferocious. Now, I get it. It was Justin Fields, who holds on to the ball far too long, is completely out of sorts in this offense. I don't know what the hell they're doing with him because they're completely wasting his abilities to run and pass. I think he did maybe, 3 RPOs yesterday? That should be an 90% of their offense. I saw Rex Ryan talking about this morning on Get Up. Same thing. We talked about it on the post-game show yesterday. But even with that said, this is an NFL football team, and the Bucs, that game was closer than it should have been. They dominated that game yesterday. What'd you think?
Yeah, I think they let a bad team kind of hang around.
It did.
Is kind of how I viewed that. And that's a dangerous game to play in the NFL.
Yeah.
That's a dangerous game because even though the Bears are a bad team, the NFL's wacky every single week. Teams lose that shouldn't lose, all that kind of stuff. I know I heard you talking yesterday after the game, and there was a lot of people chiming in about, the Bucs kind of going pretty conservative in that fourth quarter on offense after they got up. And you were okay with that. And I mean, watching it, I was saying it to myself. I'm like, okay, they're starting to go. I even said it out loud yesterday watching. I'm like, this looks a little conservative for my taste. But at the same time, they are trying to play a brand of football that Todd Bowles likes, okay? Yep. And last year they were nowhere near playing the brand of football that caters itself to Todd Bowles being the head coach. Through 2 weeks, they've passed with flying colors. You talk about a total revamp of what they're doing here and what they want to accomplish. Even when the run game is not working, they stick with it. Right. And that's still a big thing. You don't want Baker Mayfield throwing 50 passes a game like we had to do last time. That's not how it works. And to the point about Baker, I mean, I know the defense gets a lot of love, and I'll get to that, but you got to throw flowers on Baker Mayfield here because, the first game, he had some ups and downs. I thought he played, a decent game. I thought he was outstanding in this game. Outside of his first throw of the game, which should have been picked by Jaquan Brisker and probably returned for 6. Outside of that, and I'll even go back to week 1, I don't see any turnover-worthy plays from Baker Mayfield. And I saw a really, the timing, you saw it on that first drive, timing pattern over to Chris Godwin on the outside, perfectly thrown on time. Timing route to Mike Evans over the middle of the field, perfectly thrown on time. That's what you're seeing with Baker Mayfield right now. A lot of that is the protection, I think, has been pretty good through the first 2 weeks. And when the protection is broken down, I mean, Baker Mayfield, the guy had Vaseline on or something yesterday.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how good he is at moving in out of the pocket and getting away from that. But that's the difference. Is last year, and we love Tom, all those things, but he was a statue. And when you got pressure, he just kind of folded, as you would expect somebody who's old to do. Yep. Baker Mayfield is extending plays with his feet. He's taking on hits. You saw it yesterday on the hit out of bounds where he picked up the first down, and he gets up and he's going crazy. And I feel like the team feeds off that energy that he's giving them. So I just thought yesterday was an outstanding game. Got away from them a little bit there for about maybe a 10-minute stretch where I was getting a little concerned. But, you keep Justin Fields in the pocket, too, from a defensive standpoint. What did he have? 3 rushing yards.
Yeah.
3 rushing yards for Justin Fields. That was the game. To me, 4 attempts and 3 rushing yards. You keep that guy in the pocket and make him throw downfield. Outside of one drive, he can't do it. He just can't do it.
But my question is, why in the hell is the Bears offensive staff doing that? How do you not have 15 RPOs, 20 RPOs a game? You can't defend a guy when he's doing that. If I'm a linebacker or defensive back, anybody on the defense, if he's sticking the ball in the belly of the running back, and I don't know if he's going to pull it and run, pull it and drop back and hit somebody, or hand the ball. I mean, they're just got him dropping back 7 steps, reading the field. I'm like,
maybe they should have tried to do that more, but maybe it's out of respect for this Bucs defense. This Bucs defense right now, said it. They're number 2 in rushing yards allowed per game so far through 2 weeks. Guess who's number 1? It's Philadelphia. So we're going to see them on Monday night. So there we go, strength versus strength. But I think the way this defense is playing, in particular, what you're getting from the front seven. I mean, you said it. They're flying. They're physical. Devin White looks fantastic. Levante David, 0 drop-off in his game at 33 years old.
Oh
it's
my God, he
absolutely
was fast
insane
yesterday.
what he's doing. I just feel like if they would have done that, I have full confidence that the Bucs were going to stop him.
Yeah.
The Bucs were going to stop him. That was their game plan, I guess, as they said, okay, you know what? The secondary showed in Minnesota, the weakness was kind of the secondary. Carlton Davis wasn't playing.
Right.
They wanted to get DJ more involved. That was a big emphasis, and he did get involved early, by the way. He burned the Bucs a few times in that game. I think that was just what the Bears' game plan was, and unfortunately, Justin Fields is not the quarterback to play that way.
Well, it's funny because I was when watching the game, and I love being there because you can see so much more of the field, and you can see how more of the strategy and the coverages that are going on. And the first 2 or 3 plays, Bowles is blitzing Antoine Winfield. I think he blitzed the corner and a safety, and he really allowed them to get DJ Moore open. And he took the blame for that afterward. He said, "Yeah, I had some bad calls in that first drive," but I was like, "They'll adjust to that. They'll adjust to that." And he just realized that his defense was perfect for this particular. It was a great matchup for the Buccaneers if they weren't going to put Justin Fields in an RPO situation. If they were just going to drop him back, they could get pressure with 4 or bring some other stuff when they needed to. And they shut him down. And you talked about them going conservative. It seemed to me that the Bears offense was not going to do anything. They just were not going to do anything late in the game. They were getting tired. You could see that part of it. They had an emergency ice tub for the Bears players outside their locker room after the game, and there were more than a couple guys that were using it. They were gassed. You could tell. And you know why they were gassed? Because the Bucs ran the damn football. They had 10 more minutes of possession time. It's a lot harder to play defense than it is to play offense in terms of exertion, right? They were gassed. And they knew, I think the Bucs knew the Bears offense was gassed too, their offensive linemen. They just were tired of dealing with the speed and the ferocity of that Bucs front seven. It just kept coming at them. They're fast, and they have a great rotation going now. They keep guys fresh. It's Diaby, it's Nelson, it's JTS, it's Shaq Barrett,
Cam Gill.
I mean, they just keep coming at you. And you could just feel that. I think Bowles was like, they're not scoring. They're not going to score 2 more touchdowns. There's no way. They might get, and they got loose for a couple, right? That second touchdown. But for the most part, he felt like there was no way that was going to happen unless they gave him a cheapie on offense by throwing the ball down the field. The Bucs weren't going to lose that game. So I was okay with them going conservative. I love the call on 3rd and 5 late in the game where they put 4 out wide and they get Rashad White in a little screen and get the first down that way. There's some great calls by Canales. Baker was fantastic, 26 of 34, 317. Great runs when he needed them, improvising, the deep ball to Mike Evans. So many good plays by Baker. This team, it's a 10-point win. Anytime you win by 10 in the NFL, that's a big-ass win.
Right.
But it felt even more dominating than that.
Yeah, and that's encouraging. Is like the Bucs got in their way of this one, of making this a true blowout. I think that's encouraging.
Oh, yeah.
I think they have the ability to put away these bad teams, but it's week 2 with a new offensive coaching staff, new quarterback, all those things expected. But you mentioned Baker and how fantastic. Just a couple stats right here, and I saw this Next Gen Stats posted this, and I almost was floored reading this. Facing pressure yesterday, 14 of 17 for 223 yards and a touchdown. That's tied for the most passing yards under pressure in any game over the last 4 seasons, any quarterback. That was Baker Mayfield yesterday. That's how good he was against pressure. I mean, I was blown away when I saw that statistic. And then how about this one? We talked about how bad the Bucs were on 3rd down last year, and particularly 3rd and long. And this was from Greg Allman. This was a nice little nugget he put there. He was 12 for 13 for 141 yards, a touchdown, and 6 conversions on 3rd down. Remember, they went 0 for 41 on 3rd and 11 last season, and they had 2 conversions yesterday, including Mike Evans' 32-yard touchdown.
How about that? Yeah. Baker Mayfield instead of Tom Brady, they're going to win 2 games. That's it. National narrative. IndyCar Tim, you cover the NFL there in Dallas. You got your Cowboys, by the way. They look pretty damn good.
Yeah, they're a machine.
I don't want any part of them anytime soon. The Bucs certainly aren't, If the Cowboys came in here, they do what they did last playoff game to this Buccaneer team, right? Maybe. I think this Buccaneer team is way better than last year's, but whatever. What's your perception of the Bucs this year?
Well, the Bucs are surprising to me for sure, JP. I've watched both games they played this year, and I'm a big Baker fan, man, and that's the reason I'm watching the Bucs. It's curiosity. I think Baker's a much better player than what he's been given credit for. I think he's been in some really crappy situations. Of course, Cleveland's the crappiest of all. Then you go to Carolina, which was in a transition really organizationally. Yeah. I thought he performed well with the Rams. I thought he deserved a shot with the Rams. They, for whatever reason, like Stetson Bennett better than him, and we know how that's worked out now. But, I think he's going to have a good, fair shot in Tampa Bay, and I think he's going to do well, man. I'm pulling for him. I'm rooting for the Bucs as long as they don't play the Cowboys.
Well, there's only one place that's going to happen.
Right,
and if the Bucs get to the playoffs, I'll take our chances with the Cowboys. All right, speaking of Baker, let's get to his press conference yesterday. And you got to stay till the end because that's my favorite part. Let's listen into Baker Mayfield yesterday post game.
Hey, Baker. It looked like you got big plays again from Mike Evans. Can you just talk about when he shows up in the biggest moments, the 7-yard catch and run, and then that touchdown was a 3rd and long?
Yeah, I mean Mike's a stud. He's been doing this for a long time at a high level. Yeah, I mean, you saw a couple contested catches there and just plays after the catch as well. It was kind of either a throw it out of bounds or only he can get it play there on the left sideline on their sideline, and he takes it the rest of the way. And then also just that catch and run going towards the ship. He's a stud. He's the best go ball runner versus off coverage in the league. That's where that touchdown was, off corner. He just closes that space so quickly and accelerates. So we're lucky to have him.
One of your biggest plays was actually a fumble recovery from the David Wells hit. What does it mean for this offense to not have any turnovers through the first 2 weeks?
We've preached ever since Dave came in. He said it's all about the ball. We put one on the ground today. I know Dave knows better. We all know that, but it's about swarming the football, fighting for your teammates, and being there when you need to. And then we had the touchdown right after that. So just capitalizing on that and making sure we still have the ball in our hands. What was
clicking so well for you guys on 3rd down? I know that was a bit of a struggle last week early on, but this week it seemed like you were able to get that right away.
Had a lot. I'll tell you what, we had a lot more zone coverage beaters in our 3rd down plan. I'll say that. Especially they were down a couple guys, just knowing we were going to get more zone coverage, and just anticipating that, and had a good game plan going in there. Dave was calling it well and just delivering it to the open guys. Checkdowns are good, especially like we said, our defense is playing well. Just in the possession with the ball in our hands, whether it's a punt, touchdown, or a field goal kick, and good things will happen.
Baker, Rashad just told us he found himself watching you at certain times, and obviously as a quarterback you prefer that no one comes anywhere near you, but there was a couple times today where you should have been sacked and you find your way out of it. For you personally, do you sort of relish plays like that in terms of like it fires guys up? Yeah, I mean, it's fun to, obviously if it turns out well. But yeah, it fires them up knowing that even if a lineman gets beat a little bit, we still have a chance. And our guys are going to continue to work in the scramble drill aspect. And we're going to have a lot of big plays when it comes down to that. And yeah, we just need to capitalize. And yeah, I'm pretty dense back there, so it's quite the load to take down.
Did you see a different intensity from the shot today? You went through some really key situations.
Yeah. There was a couple of those runs that he normally kind of is really patient setting up the blocks, but he was downhill today. He loved seeing that. Unfortunately, Chase had to leave mid-game, so it was just Rashad and Sean. And so those guys were playing hard no matter what the rotation was, and so we're lucky to have those guys as well.
Baker, in addition to, the defense taking a little pressure off and playing well, how does it feel to have, several weapons, healthy weapons, and targets to shoot towards, including Evans, Godwin, Otten?
Yeah. I mean, it's when we grow in this offense, continue to get better and better, we're going to be able to do whatever we want. Teams can game plan however they want against us. They can roll coverage over to Mike, but that means Chris is going to have a one-on-one, or Cade, or Trey Palmer, who's made a lot of plays for us, and Devin Tompkins, and can't forget about the checkdowns to our backs. They're so good with the ball in their hands. So, yeah, we've got a really good skill group, and O-lines continue playing really well, and so we just got to keep growing as a unit.
Baker, it takes a while for an offensive line to build continuity when there's as much change as there has been here. What have you noticed since you first got here, OTAs, that kind of stuff, versus now?
Just them on the same page, especially with our mid-zone game today. They did it really well. We were physical in that first half, wearing them down, and I think we saw just the ability late in the game, what we started early, we finished with. So, yeah, we're continuing to grow, and those guys are really knowing what the assignment is.
Baker, are you seeing growth even this early in the season between game 1 and game 2?
Yeah, I think for us, we had some shot plays called, checking into if it wasn't an ideal look, getting out of it, and just taking care of the ball, I think was the best thing for us today, and having a plan for what they were doing. We adapted quickly to the zone coverages and just the physical mentality. But the thing that we're going to harp on, just the little details in the red zone. We got to end up with touchdowns. Having that many field goal opportunities isn't good enough for us as a unit. We're too damn good not to finish in the end zone. So it's about the little details down there. We'll get those ironed out. But, yeah, that's the biggest thing for us right now.
Coach Canales said this week that he realized, or he saw, that this was a team full of winners, that there was no panic on the sideline this past week. Can you feel that? Can you feel a difference in this team compared to maybe some of the other places you've been?
Yeah, we're going to play complementary football, and I think that's where that mindset comes from. Now, as an offense, instead of just not hitting the panic button, we have to set an extremely high standard for ourselves as a unit. We know the defense is going to play well. We get special teams unit, but like I said earlier, we got to finish in the red zone. So we got to set a very high standard, and that's going to be the fun part. Is when all three units set a very high standard and try and match that energy level of each and everybody in this room, on the team. It's going to be fun to watch.
Speaking of complimentary football, just talk about the play of the defense when you're on the sidelines, watching them sack fields, intercept them.
I mean, I had to go up against them in training camp. I didn't get hit though, so I got to at least, watch the blitzes. But it's even better on Sundays watching them get after the quarterback and the other teams. And yeah, just the way they close out games, they make the final stop. They lock it up when they need to. And Shaq made a great play there, and then Antoine Winfield breaking the ball, and then Izzy getting another interception. So yeah, they're playing really well. We're happy with that.
You got a taste of it in the preseason, but this was your first regular season game in Raymond James Stadium at home. What can you say about the atmosphere and the fans and everything that you experienced here?
It was hot. Hot. I'm still sweating. No, we love playing at home. Obviously, when it's 1 o'clock and it's that hot, everybody's kind of just making it through right there. No, the energy was good, though, still. Chicago traveled well, but I thought our guys handled it well. And, yeah, we're looking forward to a Monday night game where it'll be a little cooler and got some good competition coming into town, so we need a great atmosphere.
Baker, Peter King said you guys would win 2 games this year, so I guess he was right. Does that fool you at all? Does it fuel you guys at all?
If you look up Peter's history of his opinion on me, that's probably why. So, yeah, he's all right.
Fuel you guys a little bit?
I don't really care what he thinks. He doesn't play. So we're going to keep it in-house. Our guys are motivated. That's kind of been the narrative the whole time, that low expectations for this team. But inside our locker room, we have an extremely high standard, so got to continue to grow. Thanks, guys.
There he is, Baker Mayfield. How do you not like that guy? That's why Tim.
I love Baker Mayfield. I love Baker Mayfield.
Love that guy. I mean, he has taken this town by storm and his team by storm. You could just feel the vibe on this team in the locker room. On this, when we're watching the team come out before the game, the guys are hyped. He's a blue collar guy, man, and he's beloved. The guys love him because he's been hanging out with them, going to the games with him. You've seen him, Nick, out. He's out everywhere, or was in the offseason with Tristan Wirfs and the offensive linemen. They love this cat.
He's just and how much has he matured too?
At
least since he's gotten to Tampa Bay. I mean, obviously I didn't follow much what's going on in Carolina and LA, but it just seems like a completely different Baker Mayfield, just the way he carries himself. And like he's the unquestioned leader of the football team. And I feel like this team already has a lot of veteran leaders. I mean, guys who have won a Super Bowl. And I'm not even questioning whose team it is. It's Baker Mayfield's team. And every other player that talks about him, you see a smile on their face immediately. It's like, and you see your quarterback again, like in Minnesota, you see him initiating contact on a key 4th down to get a first down when you need it. You see him yesterday rolling out of the pocket and taking another big hit out of bounds, and you see him get up and bounce back, and he's talking his shit, I mean, how do you not want to play with that guy? I mean, he's blown my expectations out of the water, honestly, for 2 games, because I thought what he gave you in Minnesota, I thought, you play a game, we talked about it, 2017, 2013, that's how the Bucs are going to win a lot of their games, and Baker just needs to not turn the football over. But the fact that, at least against Chicago, I thought he was the focal point of that offense. And they scored their points because of Baker Mayfield and obviously because of Mike Evans as well. who,
Yeah.
money's a great motivator, by the
Yeah.
way. And not saying that Mike is, obviously the track record's there, but Mike looks slimmer. Mike somehow 10 years into his career is almost would you agree, this is like the most complete Mike Evans that we
Yes.
have seen. The fact
Yes.
that he got all that yak yesterday, we haven't
Yes.
seen that in his entire career.
Yes. And that was really the game-changing play, because when Baker let that ball go on the 70-yarder, that corner was in pretty good position. And Mike just, does what Mike did. He knocked him out of the way, knocked his hand away. I think it was a rookie corner. And that kid will learn when you got a physical receiver like that. But that's why Bake's throwing the ball there, because he knows Mike's going to fight for the ball. He's going to go up there, and his catch radius is enormous. He's going to go up and get it. And then he takes off down the field. You knew he wasn't going to score, though. I don't know about you, but you could just
no.
You kind of feel. I was just hoping he wouldn't pull a hamstring, because that's normally on when he right before he gets to the end zone, and he pulled up out of bounds, but they get the touchdown anyway. That was a huge play. And then I thought it was interesting what Baker said about off coverage, and he's the best off coverage deep guy in the game, because he's right. He just blows right by him. Guys don't know how fast he is. And you and I have had some talks about this. You're like, oh, he's not a deep guy. I'm like, Mike gets deep, because
by the
he's
way,
not a 4.4 guy, but he gets on you so quick, and then those strides just get bigger. And before you know it, he's 6 yards past you, and the ball's in the end zone.
Right.
Ask Jalen Ramsey.
And in the fourth quarter, you probably got a better vantage point of the play than I did on TV, because they only showed one replay. But in the fourth quarter, there was a moment where he went deep over the middle of the field, kind of one of those like deep posts, and Baker had him. If Baker missed any play in that game, that was the one. I kind of chalked it up to, maybe he just couldn't see, where Mike was at the time, and he was just trying not to force anything, because they were kind of playing that way where they just didn't want to turn the football over, and I think he just threw like a check down or something.
Yeah.
But he did have Mike deep.
He did.
He did have Mike deep with space, by the way, and it would have been another score. So that was out there.
He missed Chris on a touchdown as well in the first half down the left side. He missed him. That should have been a touchdown. And so Baker hadn't been perfect, but he's been damn close to it. And I thought offensively yesterday, Rachaad White was tremendous. He ran so much differently than he ran in week one. He was, and you heard Bake talk about it. He was decisive. He got downhill. He turned those 1 and 2 yard plays into 4 and 5 yard plays. It doesn't sound like much, but 74 yards, got another 30 in receptions, some really key receptions for first downs, over 100 yards from scrimmage. That's what I expected from him this year. And that's going to be a good 1,500 yards from scrimmage. That's what he should do every game. 70 yards on the ground, 30 in the air. That's where he needs to be. And I thought he was really, really good, much different. What'd you think?
I think Rachaad White, week one against Minnesota, watching that film back.
Terrible.
It was terrible. Like, everybody gave it, well, there's not many holes. I'm here to tell you there were holes, and Rachaad just missed them, or he was slow reacting to them. Yep. And the difference here, like you said, he just pushed upfield and immediately just went. And you have to do that. Baker shouted that out. I think Rachaad's going to be fine. Listen, you got to allow your running backs to get in the flow of the game too. And last year we didn't really do that, and so you had no running game to speak of. 2 games in a row. I think even yesterday, 34 passes, 34 runs. Week 1, 34 passes, 33 runs. It's been a complete 50-50 split. Yeah. You're allowing Rachaad to kind of get in the game as the offensive line continues to kind of get more continuity, like we've been saying. And Canales, and again, this is the second game Dave Canales has called since, like 2005, and that was high school, okay? Yeah. You got to give it a little bit of time here and have a little bit of a buffer period. And the fact that they're still ironing things out and they sit here today 2-0, that's amazing. Yeah. I didn't have him going 2-0. Did you have him going 2-0 through this, going into Philadelphia?
I said 1-3 to the bye, I'm okay with. 2-2, I'm really happy with. 3-1, I'm ecstatic. They got a chance to do 3-1. I'm like, the Eagles are the Eagles. That's, I'm not getting crazy about this. But and Tim, I wonder, just from the eye test, what did you think of Rachaad White, number 1, as a running back?
I think he's got a little work to do, but I think he's going to be serviceable. I think. I don't know that he could be a sustainable number 1 unless he improves quite a bit. But
yeah.
I'd be scared of him if I was certain opposing defenses for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, and this run game, I'm telling you, man, and especially when you're watching the game and you could see how the team's going on and off the field, and the Bears were getting worn out. They were getting worn out. There's no doubt about it. You could see the way they were tackling late in the game. You know, I think one running back or defensive back wanted no part of Mike Evans. That was one of the worst tackling attempts I think I've ever seen. But they were just, you know, they were making business decisions, especially in the run game. And that's the thing about the run game. Nobody wants to hear it in the NFL. Nobody wants to talk about it, right? But you had 10 minutes more of time of possession. That's winning. That's a winning football. The brutality of it, that's winning football. The fact that Baker's, Tom's throwing the ball 50 times a game. That's 20 times more. You could get sacked. You could get a holding penalty. You can get an incompletion. You can throw a pick. You're handing the ball off. A lot of good things are happening, and it takes its toll. And if you got a good defense, that shit works together, man. It works really, really well together. Nobody wants to see it. It's boring football, but it's effective. And Bucs can win this way. There's no question in my mind they can win this way.
Yeah, and they got a tough schedule, through that kind of middle part. They got to play Philly. They got to play Buffalo on the road. There's some other tough games mixed in there, but I think San Francisco's on their schedule as well. But we always said, you got to win the games that you're capable of winning. And so far, I thought Minnesota, even though I picked Minnesota to win, clearly Minnesota is not the same team they were last year. And last year they got pretty lucky and they shot themselves in the foot against the Bucs. And then Chicago, I think that team is pretty close to getting blown up real quick.
Yeah,
and so you should put them away. So the Bucs have done that. Bottom line, the Bucs are, and the Peter King thing that you mentioned is so appropriate. Again, how many times we spent 6 months in the offseason hooting and hollering on this show about the Bucs are not going to be that bad.
No.
There's no scenario. I mean, maybe there was a little bit of a chance that Baker was just horrendous and the whole operation falls apart. Yeah. But there's too much talent on this team. And, the defense, I know we've talked about it a little bit. We probably could talk about more because, I mean, there's so many different standouts from the defense yesterday. Like, I'm trying to find the thing that I didn't like, and there's one player that probably sticks out that didn't have his best game. That was Jamel Dean. He had a rough one against DJ Moore, I think. He got turned around a little bit. I don't think he's had the greatest start to the season. But you got undrafted Chris Izzian from Rutgers, who Todd Bowles didn't even know who the guy was until he went to go see his son play up there in upper state New York. And they bring that guy in as a UFA, wins the slot job, and he's got 2 interceptions through 2 weeks. And by the way, a great tackler. Yeah, you don't see really rookie corners tackle like that. Really good. I know Zion's going to be the guy whenever Carlton or Jamel are out, and he's going to cover the outside. But Izzian's a better player already than McCollum, in my opinion. He's a way better tackler. So that's changed things. And then Winfield moving back to his natural safety spot. That guy looks like one of the best safeties in the entire league, period, right now. We're all talking about pay Mike Evans and pay Devin White. Guess what? Pay Antoine Winfield Jr.
That's right.
Okay, he deserves it because he's been, I think, both games combined, I think he's been the best player out there. Yeah, I truly believe that. Agree. And then also JTS, best game that I've seen JTS play in a Buccaneer uniform. He was everywhere, took advantage of a great matchup. I think he had 2 sacks, bunch of quarterback hits, all those things. And Vita Vea as well in the middle was awesome. There's just so much to pass around to that defense from yesterday.
All right, we're going to talk more about the defense, and we're going to get into Shaq Barrett, too. What a tremendous story that was yesterday, and getting to talk to him after the game. That was as good as it gets. So I'm going to get into that. We got college football to get to on our second half as well. So a lot more coming your way. We're brought to you by the folks at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com, and Bay Area Modern Medical Center. Chris Lugo will join us tonight. He's going to stop by the patio this evening. So come by and see us at the patio, the only place you want to be watching football this football season, by the way. Great outdoor place underneath the palm trees, underneath the stars. Come join us for Monday Night Football tonight, presented by White Claw. $4 White Claw seltzers, $4 White Claw vodka, $1 off beer and wine. Great crowd there at the patio. That's where everybody meets, at the patio. So come see us 5 to 7 today. Back in 3 minutes with much more. Stay with us.
Do you have any old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Gold and Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you can get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Gold and Diamond Source, 3000 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Hey guys, are you experiencing those feelings of getting older, lower sex drive, fatigue, hot flashes, moodiness, or you just don't feel like you have the vitality you once had? It's a chronic problem here in the United States. You're not just getting old, it's likely low testosterone. Studies over the last 20 years show a shocking decline in younger males aged 16 to 39. Older men have seen a sharp decline as well. So do something about it. Go see my friend Christopher Lugo at Bay Area Modern Medicine. Look, testosterone replacement is not a frivolous treatment. It takes a professional, targeted approach that focuses on total body wellness, vitality, and emotional stability, not a one-size-fits-all approach like many clinics use. They will monitor your blood work and adjust your treatment as needed for optimal results. Folks, I've been on testosterone therapy for over 6 years, and it is a life changer. You will feel and look better than you did 10 years ago. Give them a call at 844-977-3477 or go to BAMMC.com. Tell them JP sent you for priority scheduling. That's 844-9. Do you have any?
We're back. Dun, dun, dun. We are back. Welcome back to the JP Peterson Show on this Victory Monday. Nick Geddes is here with us on this Monday. IndyCar Tim is with us from Dallas, helping us run the show today. Thanks, partner. Appreciate that. How about them Cowboys? They looked pretty good last night, huh? Yeah. Now, talk about a shitty offense. The Jets are awful offensively. They're not good. I can't hear you. Turn your mic.
Oh, how about that?
That's it.
Are the, because the Jets had a lot of talk coming into the season, especially with Rodgers.
Yeah.
A lot of people picked them to win the East. A lot of people had them as a playoff team, and I think it was based really on defense, right? They had a really good defense last year. But clearly, even with Rodgers, this is not a good team, right? After what we've seen in 2 weeks.
Their defense hasn't looked as good as it was. I think just 4 plays in, you lose A-Rod. I just think mentally that you can almost see it in their coach's face. I think they're just checked out, and they all know Zach Wilson ain't got it. They know that. I mean, I was surprised that they didn't make a move. To be quite honest, they didn't go get Jameis, which would have been really funny. I think that would just be. But with that defense, and he's a charismatic guy in New York. With Dalvin's there, he's got some boys that are on the team. Jermaine Johnson that would give them some juice, and they would have a chance to score points. I'm telling you, they would score points, and then the defense would have to deal with some turnovers. But they would have some juice. They got no juice with Zach Wilson, 0 juice.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm giving Zach Wilson 1 more week.
Oh my God!
Because Dallas's defense right now is just on another planet. And Micah Parsons yesterday, I mean, that dude has got to be one of the your generation always talks about Lawrence Taylor and all that.
Yeah.
And I can't speak to that, but I have to think he's this generation's equivalent. Like he's unblockable, unbelievable. The things he did to Zach Wilson yesterday should be illegal. I mean, I just think that guy had no shot, and they couldn't get the ground game going. Breece Hall had 4 touches, and he went on afterward and said we lost the game because I got 4 touches. Interesting comment there. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to give him 1 more week because I thought he composed himself really good in the Monday night game. But I think Dallas is I think Dallas is going to do this to most quarterbacks they play this year.
That's probably true, but I still have no faith in him, and I don't think his teammates have any faith in him at all. More importantly, so we'll see what happens. All right, a little bit more on the Bucs before we get to college football, and Shaq Barrett. I think we all talk about what happened in the offseason. If you don't know, his 2-year-old daughter tragically drowned. He's a very, very, very devout man of faith, as you can see, and we'll hear in his interview here as well. And he's just such a lovable guy. He's a self-made man. Got undrafted free agent, came up with the Broncos, had to sit behind Von Miller. The Bucs gave him an opportunity, and he busted out with 19 and a half sacks and won a Super Bowl. Got paid, and there's nobody better you want to see get paid than Shaq Barrett. He's such a lovable dude. Then at the end of the game, the Bears get the ball deep in their own territory with a chance to tie the game with a long drive, and just a classic veteran move. He can't get to the quarterback. He reads screen right away, not falling for that BS, falls back, and Justin Field throws it, and he gets up with one hand, catches it. And then in what I thought was a very poetic and just moment, his entire team pushes him into the end zone, right? Falls on top of him for the game-winning play. And, man, I'm just like, damn, that's Shaq. And then you said that's 7. That was Shaq. And you're just like, your heart just fills, man. It's like, what a moment. What a moment for this guy. And then, afterwards, I was like, I can't wait to get in the locker room and see him. And they said, no, we'll bring him into the podium because everybody wanted to talk to him. And he comes in with this huge gold chain and the chest plate with a picture of his daughter on there. I mean, I'm like ready to just start weeping, So he steps to the podium. The first question's kind of about football, but then he gets to the really good stuff. So let's listen to a couple minutes of Shaq Barrett.
Thank you.
Oh, I think we lost it, Tim. Let's try it again.
Thank you.
When you make a play like you did at the end of that game, does time speed up or slow down for you in that?
It slowed down for sure. It felt like that play took about 5-7 seconds just from me catching the ball, running 2 yards, and then being pushed into the end zone. It felt like I was like in that play. It was slow motion. I was standing up there being pushed for 5 seconds when it was hindsight probably like 2-3 seconds. I don't even know if it was that long. But, that was the most tiring play of the game for me.
Shaq, when you made that interception, you came inside on a rush and then really were almost spying and seeing what Justin Fields was going to do. Can you just talk about your reaction to that and catching that one-handed pass?
Well, I appreciate what you said because your memory was better than my memory right now. I just remember going inside a little bit, seeing the ball come in. But, I guess I was rushing inside like you said, and then and then I felt the flow of the offense go to the left a little bit, so I slid a couple steps to the left, and I saw the ball coming, and I just put my hand up, made the catch. So 58 right in front of me, so I figured I got to go inside or outside of him to get in the end zone. I couldn't be denied, though. It was 3 yards. I got to find a way to get in there. And my teammates came to rally behind me, help me get in the end zone. But it was just a great way to end the game. Offense did it for us last week, and it's our time to return the favor.
Back for you, a pick six, another sack, an Achilles. Just what does that do, for you to say, okay, I'm still back. I'm making these plays again.
Yeah, it felt good just be back on the playmaking side of things. I know even if I wasn't making plays, just like all the work I put in the offseason, doing rehab and all that, felt good, and I knew I was back, even though if the plays like last week didn't like exactly say that I'm back, but I felt that I was back for a while now. And it's just good to get them plays, them game-changing plays like I'm accustomed to affirm that. So it just thank my coaches for putting me in the right position, my teammates for being there for me, and it just feel good.
We'd be remiss if we didn't mention, you've dedicated the season obviously to your daughter and all that. There's an emotional moment you and Jason, maybe more so for Jason than you. You retired, but when you have games like this, I mean, I know your whole life was turned upside down and it still is, but what does it mean to be able to put that, for your family, for yourself, and all that you've been through?
No, it most definitely feels good. I always play for my family already, but then having that extra incentive and making me want to go a little harder for it. it never stops sucking. It's always going to suck. But like at least I'm able to be able to shine some spotlight on her a little bit. Camera was on me after I made the play. I told her, love you, miss you, wish you was here. And so I'm glad I'm able to still get some spotlight for her and to the Lord above, because he's the reason why we're here right now. And then just trusting his plan, and no matter what it is, it works for good. So I'm just trusting that, and I'm just going through every day, trusting that, and believing that.
I mean, like, just considering everything you've been through, physically and then emotionally, like, I mean, when you have those kinds of moments like that, I mean, do you almost feel like it is like a little bit of your mind and dimension when you go out there and you get to play such a big role in a game that has taken on maybe even more meaning for you this year because of what you've been dealing with?
Oh yeah, I believe so for sure. And then just talking to God all the time. I just know He don't give us nothing more than we can handle, even though it felt like He did for sure. But He said He just setting us up for something. Can't say better because I don't know what can be better than having my baby girl here. But He's setting us up for something that we need, and I'm just ready for it, and I'm waiting for it, and I'm gonna believe in Him and believe in His plan for sure. And I do feel like, it was divine intervention to be able to just get that spotlight for my baby girl.
Is your family here today, and how are they doing?
He went on to say that he almost couldn't play in week 1 because he was so distraught. And he's a man of faith, and he said he prayed, and his wife prayed, and he had just a calming feeling right before the game that came over him. And he went out there and played well against Minnesota. And then, the same thing this week, he was able to do it. We all think, hey, they're NFL football players, and even when tragic things happen, you got to get up and go. But mentally, you just may not be able to do it. And he I don't know how he does it, to be honest with you. I just don't know how you even get out of bed the next day, let alone go rehab an Achilles injury, let alone go play NFL football when the temperature's 110 degrees out there. It's more than anyone should ask. And here he is answering the bell. That's a moment that I won't soon forget from Shaq Barrett. That was really, really cool stuff. And hopefully he'll stay healthy and have a great year. And I think you can tell just by listening to that man about his faith, and how can you not root for him? He's an incredible dude. I don't know if you guys want to add in on that at all, feel free.
Yeah, it brought a smile to my face, quite frankly. Obviously, in the moment, you're like, oh my goodness, the Bucs are going to win this football game. And then you realize, wait a second, that's Shaq Barrett. And you're like, wow, that's a great story for someone who's dealt with so much, more like you said, more so than anybody should ever have to. And, the other part of that is the Achilles injury. And because of the Achilles injury, I was saying all offseason, I don't really know what to expect from Shaq.
Exactly.
My expectations, quite frankly, were low. And I'm so happy to be wrong in this moment so far, because you want it for Shaq Barrett. You want good stories. And to the football point, I don't see like any issues with his get off or anything like that. In fact, he had one of his where he got a little over. He jumped, remember there?
I don't know, man. I think that was pretty much. I would want to replay that. I think he timed it up perfectly.
I didn't get a replay of it. I only saw the one copy on TV, but he jumped or whatever. But no, the get off looks there, the play's there, and that's just another plus to the whole team. But just first and foremost, you just want it for Shaq Barrett. And that's great to see. And then, having to answer the questions, and he knows they're all coming and everything, and compose himself. It really is great stuff.
And in this day and age of athletes being role models, for kids and even young adults, what better role model on the planet, athlete or no athlete, than Shaq Barrett for somebody to go through everything he's been through professionally, and then of course personally with his family, to maintain such a positive attitude. There's your role model right there.
Yeah, and a family man. And Dion talks about this, and of course doesn't get any coverage, but he talks about being a father, not a baby daddy. And the responsibility that goes with that. And Shaq's, the same way. And we don't talk about these men as great fathers enough. We don't talk about that and the importance of it. And they are, and they're tremendous. All right, and back onto the field, a couple of comments, and we haven't really mentioned this, but Kalijah Cansey didn't play yesterday. And in the 10 snaps that I saw him play in week 1, I've seen enough. And in training camp, I've seen enough. That dude's a baller. And you add him to this defensive line rotation, holy shiz. I mean, that guy is quick. He's powerful. He's got something special. And when you add that to the mix, this defensive line with Shaq and JTS, who showed up now, in Green, and Vita Vea, who had a sack and a half yesterday, is back to wrecking people. This Bucs defense, man, I ain't saying it's Cowboys-esque, but it's gonna be formidable. It's gonna be really formidable. And their formula for winning is gonna give teams fits.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned Mike Green in there because I was going to give him a shout-out. One of the guys that you're not going to hear about much because there was so much to like yesterday, but first career NFL start, I thought Mike Green held himself just fine. I thought he worked. I thought he had some pretty good rushes and everything. Didn't quite get home, but he was involved. Everybody was involved, and you mentioned Anthony Nelson against Minnesota. It was his day. Then it was JTS's day. I saw Yaya Diaby getting close to the quarterback a few times. That's good to see. So, yeah, when Kancey gets in there, I mean, they're running a rotation. You got like 7 to 8 guys.
Yeah.
I mean, Cam Gill had 3 snaps, and on one of them, he got to the quarterback. I tell you what, that guy, he doesn't play much, but it seems like when he does play, he gets to
home.
the quarterback.
His sack to snap ratio is off the charts.
It's crazy. Yeah. So, and that's your 6th guy in the rotation from a pass rushing standpoint. There's a reason why they kept 6 guys on this roster, because they all can play. So, again, theme of the day, the Bucs defense playing the Todd Bowles way. That's going to carry them throughout the season. You've seen that for 2 weeks. How's that going to hold up against Philly is the big question here. I don't know about that. I don't know if this style of play is going to work quite against Philly. But, again, against the teams that you have a chance to win and you should beat, it works there.
You mentioned Bowles, and we have not mentioned him today. Another tip of the cap to him. I thought he managed that game tremendously well yesterday. He punted when he needed to punt. He went for it on 4th when he needed to go for it on 4th. They had a 4th and 2, just about midfield, and a little sweep to Rashad White. Fantastic. So I think that just 1 4th down conversion, but the way he managed the game was, I think, absolutely perfect. And he's been aggressive. With the exception of his defensive calls on that first drive, which he took the blame for, I thought he managed the game tremendously well again. So that's something else we've been watching. We wanted to see this year, and he answered the bell on that. Let's do one more sound pop from Tristan Wirfs, because we don't get to hear from Tristan very often. So let's listen to the Bagman, who, by the way, all this, I'm not sure if I could play left tackle. It's really hard. It's different. Yeah. Whatever. As Jason Light said, the only person in the building that didn't think he could play left tackle was Tristan Wirfs, because everybody else knew he'd be just fine. I think his level of expectation is perfection, right? And he's been pretty damn good. Let's listen into Tristan Wirfs.
We knew what kind of heat, what it was going to feel like today, and we knew. I mean, we practiced in this every day, all camp, so we knew we were going to be ready for it. But no, it's a nice feeling.
How about Rashad White being able to capitalize on some of those holes? He got in the end zone late in the first half as well. He gave credit to you guys when we talked to him a little while ago, but what about that guy and what he means to the run game?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, he just pounds the rock. We do our best to open up holes for him, and he finds them. Today, he was hot today. It was awesome, especially, getting him in the end zone.
Can you say enough about Baker Mayfield? 2 games now with him in the regular season. Again, a very efficient day, 26 of 34, throws a touchdown, no interceptions. What about his leadership, all the intangibles, Tristan?
Yeah, I mean, Bake's been, as soon as he got here, he stepped up as someone, we all look to. Took control right away. It's nice having him back there. We know what we're going to get from him, and he expects a lot out of us, and we just try and come every day and ball out for him.
This is now a second game with 4 different guys at a different position. You have moved over to left tackle, and obviously Luke Gedeke at right tackle, and then 2 new guys with Matt Filer and also with Cody Mauk.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's only 2 games. It's a work in progress, but how is it coming together?
I think it's been awesome. We all just trying to get as many reps next to each other as we could, throughout camp. But I think I've said it a bunch before, just getting as comfortable as we can next to each other and trust through all 5 of us that, we all know what we're doing, seeing everything through one set of eyes pretty much, and being the best we can be.
There's Tristan Wirfs talking about his new offensive line that I think has performed tremendously well. Luke Gedeke has been okay. Couple of penalties yesterday. Both were drive killers, 1 holding penalty. and then when you're running the 4-minute offense at the end of the game and you're not throwing the ball downfield, taking a 5-yard false start's like a 10-yard holding penalty. That was a killer. And that ended up giving the ball back to the Bears. So he's got to stop that shit. But other than that, I think they've been pretty good.
Name of the game is keep your quarterback upright, right? And Baker Mayfield, last time I checked, has not been on the ground much through close to 70 dropbacks through this season. In fact, just 1 sack through 2 weeks. And the 1 sack Baker admitted last week was his fault. He kind of backed into it. So as far as I'm concerned, the offensive line has been perfect from that standpoint, and that allows you to do so much. The only blemish on the Bucs, as far as I'm concerned, yesterday was red zone offense. I think that's something they got to get corrected. And again, when you face some bigger competition like Philly on Monday night, the red zone, you got to get touchdowns.
Yes.
You can't settle for field goals. And also, we talked about the coaching overchanges going on in the offseason. Interesting that Keith Armstrong was spared. It seems there's always one issue with his special teams unit. It seems like every game. And I said it yesterday. Justin he got schooled on that field goal, and so those are the only blemishes I think I saw yesterday. You just got to clean that up. But again,
when you're playing the way they play, though, special teams is important.
Right.
You don't have time for giving up returns or getting field goals blocked. You got to get those 3 points when you get in position. You got to get them. And that's especially when your kicker's red hot. Don't get it blocked. The guy hasn't freaking missed. And here you are letting pressure inside. You can't have that. There's no excuse for that in the NFL. None. And that was a bad moment. And I haven't broken down the entire tape. I'll do that today. But there were some play choices in the red zone that looked very Leftwich-esque. Let's just put it that way. The route combinations were not good. So I expect a little bit more creativity from Dave Canales. He knows that. They need to be better in the red zone, no question. I will say this, though, 3rd and goal at the 4, giving it to Rachaad White and punching it in.
Talk about confidence right there in the running game.
If you can do that, the play sheet gets a lot bigger. If you can count on your team, and those are good plays, too, because, 3rd and goal from the 4, you're not going to get a heavy box, right? You block it up, you got a chance, and they did. And Rachaad White hit that hole and hit it well.
It also, too, if I'm not mistaken, to the point of play calls, I'm pretty sure I saw this. They called a designed quarterback run for Baker Mayfield, where he did a little quick drop back and then he just took off. I'm like, okay, I know Baker can move. Okay, I ain't disputing that. But is he the quarterback that I'm doing? I think they were on the 8 or 9 yard line when they called that.
I don't hate the call. Yeah. Didn't execute it very well.
Yeah.
Didn't execute. I think that was Gedeke too. I have to go back and look, but I think Gedeke missed his block on that. I think Baker may have gone the wrong way too. So I don't hate that call. Listen, Baker's faster than you think he is.
I'm not disputing
faster
that.
than you think he is.
I'm not disputing that. I'm just
come on.
Where is the fade to Mike Evans? Let me see it.
Yeah,
let me see it.
Yeah, that was not tried. I'd love to have seen that. All right, we'll take another break here. When we come back, it's time for some college football. We got to get to all that. Big wins for the Gators. A curious win for my Seminoles. Moral victories, not for Alex Kolesh. He didn't want to hear anything about it at USF, but I think they got one, to be quite honest. Let's not fool ourselves. UCF gets a win, so we'll talk all of them. We got to talk about the Colorado game. We'll hear from Jay Norvell after the game and some interesting things to say. So all that stuff coming up next here. We're brought to you by the Golden Diamond Source, the Patio. Don't forget to stop by the Patio today, 5 to 7 o'clock for our Monday night football party, or any night for happy hour. And that is always the place to watch football, under the stars, under the palm trees, unique location. Not one of those stuffy sports bar folks that are going to hit you up for $10 for an IPA. Nope, it's the Patio. So head on down there and join us today at 5 to 7 o'clock. Back in 3. Stay with us.
Well, Fitz the mortgage guy did it again. A listener heard his ad was going to another big bank, but called Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services of Tampa, and Fitz saved him $618 on his monthly payment. Are you kidding me? Folks, that's big money. Rates are going up, they're going down, they're going all over the place. Scott will shop your loan and save you lender fees and get the best rates. Email him, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. That's Fitz the mortgage guy. Lots of stuff going on right now, and these rates are going all over the place. You need somebody knowledgeable in the market that will work hard for you and get you the best deal. That's my man, Scott. He's done 3 loans for me, done thousands of loans for local folks here, works with a lot of the coaches and players in the area. He's the guy. 813-294-7595 or go to scott@amstampa.com. Have the old coins sitting around the house? Well, the Golden Diamond Source will purchase a variety of different types of coins and bullion. Their gold buying program includes sterling silver, platinum, and watches. They also accept unusual pieces that other jewelry stores do not, such as gold bars and sterling silver flatware. The list of items they do accept is far more extensive than those they don't, so check it out. While you're there, you can check out the largest collection of any family-owned jewelry store in the country, especially with summer coming to an end. The holidays are right around the corner. Never too early to start your holiday shopping, especially if you're planning on getting engaged or have any birthdays or anniversaries coming up. Come on in and find out what buying jewelry should be like with an expert staff of gold and diamond jewelry enthusiasts. And the best part, they treat you like family. And if you're worrying about price, don't. The Golden Diamond Source has something for everyone's budget. They even have a layaway. If you stop in and get your favorite piece now, you can have it paid off by Christmas. Plus, you can even finance your purchase with 0% interest for up to 5 years, and you get a $5,000 diamond for only $83 a month. It's the greatest folks in the world, Julie and Steve Weintraub, the Golden Diamond Source, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
JP here for my good friends at Italiano Insurance, and they did it again. Once again, Italiano Insurance stepping up with the best customer service. I was in a bind. My old insurance company, my auto insurance, jacked up my rates, so I called Charity at Italiano Insurance and until 9:30 at night until she got my insurance done. And guess what? She searched all these companies for me. I didn't do the work. She did. Saved me $1,000 on my annual premium. $1,000, folks. That's real money. And that's what you get at Italiano Insurance. Great customer service. And here's another note for you, by the way, with hurricane season up. 40% of people in Florida are underinsured. That means if you have something happen during a hurricane and you need replacement costs, you're going to get 40% less than you deserve. Can't let that happen. Call the folks at Italiano Insurance and get them to help you out in both those regards. It will save you money and keep you insured properly. That's 813-877-7799. Great folks in the community, been doing it for over 60 years. Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
.com is joining us here along with IndyCar Tim from DSP running the show today. Thank you both of us for joining us today. All right, big weekend of college football. It was, I don't know where to start here. Let's start with since I'm wearing the USF. Shout out to the Bulls. 10-3 with the ball against Alabama. Are you kidding me? A chance to tie the freaking game, maybe. And I have to. Okay, all right, A&M. Man. I have to believe that they were going for 2 if they scored. For God's sakes, I hope so. But Byron Brown throws an ill-advised ball up for grabs when they were kind of, running the ball down the field. By the way, how about Naquan Wright trucking that safety of Alabama early in the game? Holy shiz. I was like, oh, game on. I was thoroughly impressed with USF, Alex Golesh. I know he had no time for moral victory. Moral victories are for losers, after the game. That's all good and well. USF hadn't had much to cheer about lately. And the fact that their fans showed up and stayed through the rain, unlike the TV cameramen, by the way, what a freaking debacle that was. ESPN, ABC, you're a disaster for letting that happen. Shameful. I want to find those people. But that performance by USF, their defense especially, oh my God. I don't know what to say. I was shocked. And I lost money, and I owe Leo Haggerty chicken wings and everything else.
That's fine. I mean, listen, I'm a UCF alum. We all know that. I'm supposed to have the shtick of making fun of the Bulls, but I'm not going to do that. I watched that entire game. I was excited. I almost went. If I didn't know that there was probably going to be a storm and I just didn't want to be a part of it, and that did happen, I probably was going to go to the game. I was that close. But I'm excited I got to watch the entire game because it was definitely unexpected. The whole narrative was about, oh, this is Alabama, just they're not good anymore, and just throw them out, and it was all about that. And I was getting sick and tired of it.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah.
yes, Alabama's a flawed football team. We see it. But USF's defense played with so much heart in that game. You talk about playing physical. You're going up against Alabama. And I didn't really see a physical difference. I saw it from USF's offensive line to Alabama's defensive line. Don't get me wrong. I saw it there. But Alabama's offensive line, USF's defensive line, I did not see a physical difference. And where was USF horrendous at the last couple years? It was in the trenches. So that tells me they've come a long way. I actually loved what Alex Golesh said after the game, and you could tell he got pretty animated. He said, winners win. And moral victories, that's loser mentality. I appreciate those words because, the job didn't get done. And as much as this was a great day for USF, they could have won the game. It was there for them.
My God.
It really was there for them. Unfortunately, Byron Brown has never seen that much skill on a football field in front of him.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, and the receivers, Xavier Weaver not being in there anymore.
Oh,
Jimmy
if
Horn
they had
not
Jimmy
being there
Horn
anymore.
and Xavier Weaver in that game, they could have won the game.
They just don't have any talent on the perimeter.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
that's
have none.
just that to me was pretty much reason why USF did not win that football game. But this is a good step in the right direction. But here's the key. It's all about the follow-up.
Yep.
You can't go now into AAC competition and start laying eggs to everybody. You hung with Alabama for 55 minutes. Now you got to start putting away Tulsas of the world, the Rices of the world, the Charlottes.
100%.
You have to do that or this means nothing.
Daquan Evans, by the way, 8 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and a pass deflection. The defensive back, by the way. I mean, what a game. What a game. That was, and I thought USF showed up. Yeah, it was probably 60% Alabama fans, but
I don't
whatever.
care. 65,000 people were in that stadium. When was
right.
the last time that was at a USF game?
Yeah, fantastic. Tip of the cap to USF. Yeah, no, go back it up. All right, FSU. Look, I watched the whole game, every play. They were, it's a little bit of a slow start, but then they started dominating. And a couple of bad plays, but it was clearly a trap game for them. The red bandana game at Boston College is always a pain in the ass. Those kids get so hyped for that game, and they played well, man. Hats off to Boston College. I don't think it tells me Florida State's not a good team. I think they're a great team. That was just a bad. They got a bad. They weren't as focused as they need to be. If I have any complaint on that to Mike Norvell, is he should have had him a little bit more up for that game, and they lost their focus. A bad kickoff, they fumble, then they just give one away. Teo Feely just gives the ball away. They get a cheapy score. They just, Travis wasn't great. Trey Benson was tiptoeing all day long. I don't know what the hell he was thinking about his draft stock. Go play football, young man. It was Jared Verse. I don't know what the hell he was doing. Jared Verse, did he even play in the game? I mean, that's a game you need to dominate. Tommy Castellano, their quarterback, was running all over the damn field, and nobody was spying on him. It was a terrible defensive vanilla game plan. They weren't focused. I'm just happy they got out alive and didn't lose the game. But if they play like that against Clemson, they're going to get their ass handed to them. But I don't think they will.
The theme of week 3 for all these good teams, it was literally, it's going to be ugly, but just come out on top.
Survive.
A lot of teams had scares. Texas went into the fourth quarter against Wyoming. It was 10-10.
Yeah.
Georgia went into the half, I think, down to South Carolina at home.
Yeah.
Obviously, Alabama. Kansas State got upset. I mean, that was just Tennessee. That was just the theme of the day. So, and listen, if you've paid attention to Florida State over the years, there are 2 teams on their schedule every year. Doesn't matter the talent gap that always give them fits. Boston College and NC State. Yep. It has always been like that. That game reminded me, and Wake Forest recently. That game reminded me of 2013. FSU's one game, they blew out everybody that year. You know who they didn't blow out? Boston College.
Yeah.
And it was up there in
Red
Chestnut
bandana
Hill.
game.
Red bandana game, and it was 48-34 was the final. I think a pick sealed it. That, to me, is what that game reminded me of. And Tommy Castellanos, I mean, built by UCF. I'm just going to say that out loud. I told you the kid could play just a little bit. I didn't know he was going to do that. FSU, the problem, I mean, Keon Coleman, 2 games in a row, he hasn't been really involved at all. That's a little interesting. Jared Verse, not looking like the top 5 pick we lot. And I think Trey Benson has not been great at all to start the season. I think, what's the third running back? His name is escaping me right now. Hill, right?
Rodney Hill. Yeah, he can run.
Rodney
Yeah.
Hill's been the best back that they have
Yeah.
so far. I think they need to use him more.
Yeah, he's been good. I think Benson will be better in this game. He just looked disinterested in the game. Didn't like the way he ran the football at all. And that's where it starts with FSU. They should have run for 400 yards against Boston College.
Their running game, I don't think, has really gotten into a good groove. It didn't really get in a good groove against LSU and not in this game.
It did against Southern Miss. They ran for 300.
Well,
but that's
Southern Miss.
Southern Miss. All right, speaking of running the football, how about them Gators? Woo! They put it on. They put it on Tennessee. I expected Tennessee to bring some actual onions into there, but I should have known that they always leave their balls at home when they go to Gainesville. That was a freaking beatdown. Florida took it to them defensively, offensively. That line of scrimmage. This is the way Napier wants to win the football games. Bludgeon you with that big offensive line and those two really good backs. ATN is fantastic. Their backs are really, really good. And then they played some good defense too. That young Gator defense was flying around in the swamp on a Saturday night. Don't back down. That was an ass whooping they put on Tennessee.
And I'm here to tell you, the defense is not like everybody focused on the Utah game. Oh, Florida looked bad and this and that. No, the offense looked bad. The defense outside of the first quarter, I think, honestly, did pretty well on the road against Utah. So the defense, I think, is here to stay. They just need to get the running game going. We talked about in the offseason. Yep. They got a rebuilt offensive line that's bigger, and then you got two really good backs. Obviously, ETN, that dude looks like a future first-round pick when you give him touches. Yeah. And then you don't have to have Graham Mertz try to win you a football game. They kept it
he
very
looked good too.
But they kept it very simple with Graham Mertz. Yep. That's what it has to be. There's a blueprint. Signature win for Billy Napier. Yep. Signature win that he desperately needed, by the way. I heard a lot of people saying that that was the loudest that it's been in the swamp in like 4 years, they were saying. Mm-hmm. I mean, and this is for a Florida team that many people didn't really think of. I mean, I'm not that surprised, to be honest, because I think Tennessee's a poser. I think they're always a poser. Josh Heupel, I got a front row seat to him at UCF. Guess where things started to break down? Year 3. It's year 3 at Tennessee. They struggled against Austin Peay. This is now year 3 where he no longer has other people's recruits. We're still trying to make Joe Milton a thing when it's never been a thing. So Tennessee, I don't think it should disgrace their rank, to be honest with you. They're posers. They're going to win 7 games this year.
Wow. I was giving Gators credit for a big win, but maybe it's not.
I am giving him credit. I'm just saying, if Tennessee was that good, they go in there in the swamp and take care of business.
They're not, yeah.
But they never do. They're posers.
IndyCar, Tim, what'd you think of any of those games? Any comments on those games?
Well, I was pulling for Florida because I hate Tennessee. Not that I'm a Florida Gators fan or anything, but my allegiance is in the West, in the SEC, of course. But I was impressed with the Gators win. I don't share the same view that Nick does of Heupel. I mean, but I don't have the history that he does with him. But I think he's doing well. If he breaks down, that's on him. And I'm not cheering for Tennessee to do well or anything. But Heupel's kind of turned the thing around, right? In the 2 years he's been there, and it's maybe a down year. But hey man, go Gators!
Yeah, that was
big
a nice win for them.
I think it was a big win.
Yeah. And we'll see how they follow it up, right? But he needed to get that win to keep that recruiting class together because he still got LSU. Good luck with that. FSU, see where that goes, and Georgia. So there's still a few more on the table for Florida. And this could be beatdowns, but they are also opportunities for a young team to get a good win. So we'll see what happens there. All right, on to Prime, Coach Prime. I fell asleep a little bit at halftime in the third quarter, but I woke up for the fourth quarter and stayed till the bitter end at 2:20. See, he got his Buffs hat on now. All right. What a game. What an effing football game. What a lead up. First of all, I watched every minute of College Game Day. All right. And Dion put on a show. The Rock was there. He comes in and he's saying all this stuff about Colorado. The mountains in the background, they're selling sunglasses. Well, we moved 1.2 million of these sunglasses. I mean, you talk about recruiting. Holy shnikes. That was a show. And listen, I'll take a little bit of time here for my USF friends when we talk about Dion. Okay? You could have had him. And all those people who said, JP, you're making it up. It wasn't 90%, wasn't even close to coming to USF. Really? Really? I told you my sources were good. I covered those guys at Florida State 40 years ago, 35 years ago. I know these people. I know Dion was talking to USF, and I know he was very serious about it, and that he interviewed with him and visited with him. All things you said I made up. All those things you say I made up. Well, did a little interview with Bubba, his good buddy and my good friend, on Friday. So, Tim, I believe you have that audio of him talking about the USF job. Let's play that for the fans if we can.
When you came to Tampa and it was between, and I had to ask this question, Colorado, USF, I mean, now that I look back at it, at the facilities, and I see where you live, and I see where your office and the backdrop of your office has the mountains, and it's just so beautiful. And, USF has got this, they're working on getting a good facility, but Colorado State was just turnkey. Was USF ever in the running at all, Coach?
Oh, for certain. Oh, definitely. I mean, those guys that came down to meet with us, along with Derek Brooks, they did a fantastic job of really highlighting the program, and it was awesome. So most definitely, that was no game. That was real. That was authentic. And the plans that they showed me on what's coming there, it's unbelievable. Like the campus and the new stadium and how that's going to be, it is strictly unbelievable.
So they were. I mean, they were in the money.
They were in it. They were definitely in it because of the location as well and the opportunity to recruit. But I also knew that the three big boys in the state, being Florida State, Florida, Miami, they would always use the Power 5 thing against me recruiting and all of that. And it would have been just...
Yeah, but I think you would have had them in a new conference by now. I mean, I think they would have been one of those conference jumpers, having you behind them.
Yeah. How about to the ACC? If they could take an SMU and Cal and Stanford, and they got Coach Prime sitting there, look, that's all I'm going to say. Was he going to say no to Colorado over USF? I don't know about that. But to say that he never visited or wasn't interviewed or we were just making stuff up and it wasn't close and all that, you heard him. It was close. They were in it. They had a chance. And listen, I don't know I don't want to put blame on it. They've moved on, and I like Coach Goles. She's doing a great job. They've moved on. It's all there. But I think if you're USF, and especially when you see Xavier Weaver running around with Shedeur Sanders and Joe Horn scoring a touchdown as they go 98 yards in the last minute 20, and College game day is there, and it's not there for Colorado, folks, because Colorado's sucked out loud forever. It's there for Prime. And where they could have been is Nick Saban versus Prime at Raymond James Stadium. That's where College game day would have been. But whatever. And I'm not saying this is on Michael Kelly at all, because, I find it hard to believe, knowing what I know about Michael Kelly, that in this day and age of NIL and everything else that's available in terms of money, that he wanted that to happen. Somebody else said, we can't afford it. We don't want to do it. I don't know, but that's my guess. I don't know how they didn't get the deal done. Maybe they never could have got it done. But if I got Dion at the table, he ain't leaving. Coach Prime ain't leaving till he's wearing this and this. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, if you got Dion versus Saban,
but he ain't leaving.
You got Dion versus Saban, you got to call that the Aflac Bowl, right?
Right.
I mean, Aflac would sponsor that.
Yeah, you think they would have sponsored your entire new facility? Aflac would have, and everything else, Barstool and everything.
I just feel disrespected in his answer. He mentioned a big three. He didn't mention a big four.
Stop.
What's he doing here?
Come on.
He's looking at national championships, and you're still outside the velvet rope until you win a real one.
Well,
sorry, UCF.
Step inside FBC Mortgage Stadium, and I'll show you a national championship.
That's right. He knows. But, listen, all right. So that being what it is, we'll leave that right there with a big plop that we just put down. But anyway, what a game. What an effing game. What a scene. I mean, who knew Colorado? You with your Colorado Buffs hat there. Who knew that this was? I mean, once Prime took the job, yes, I knew that this is what was coming. I knew he'd have a good football team, but even that spectacle that I just saw on Saturday, that was unbelievable. Your thoughts?
Oh, there he is.
I don't know what happened to you there, Nick.
Yeah, sorry about that. I froze a little there, but I'm back in. I should be okay. Y'all hear me okay?
Yeah, we can, but jump out and come back in because we're getting feedback.
All right, 1 sec.
Yeah. So we have some. In fact, this could be a good time to go to the Jay Norvell sound. So if you watch the game, and I watched the whole thing, Shiloh Sanders gets a pick six early in the game. I mean, what a play. He's doing, high stepping down and doing the dance in the end zone. And let's give Colorado State some credit. That quarterback, what the hell is his name? Fowler Nicolosi. That dude has a freaking cannon. And that Holt receiver he threw to had like 17 catches. Those guys were moving up and down the field. And I think they got jobbed at the end, quite frankly. Terrible call on a crackback block on an outside play. And targeting on the best pass rusher they had, who Colorado could not block. And they ended the game, they couldn't block the dude. And they called him for targeting. I thought it was a bullshit call. I thought there were a lot of BS calls in that game. But be that as it may, Shedeur Sanders took him 98 yards in a minute 20, and plus the 2-point conversion, which I still don't know how he got that pass off. Shedeur is the shiz. And every interview he's doing, he's showing his new white watch, whatever he was selling. He kept holding it up on every interview he did. Welcome to the NIL, folks. They're going to be like NASCAR interviews from now on. The whole scene was incredible. The finish to the game was incredible. I don't know. Your thoughts, guys. What'd you think?
I want to hate this so much. The overexposure of Colorado. Sometimes I'm just like every show. First Take was there. FS1 was there. College Game Day. Big Noon. Pat McAfee. You name it. They're all over there for Colorado State. And I just wanted to hate it so much. But my gosh, it's just fun. And college football just thrives on fun. And it's so refreshing to see. It's hard to hate on what Deion's doing. It's hard to argue the success that he's having already. The Rock being there. I'm a big wrestling fan. So
he was great.
I thank The Rock, by the way, this is the Deion Sanders effect, real quick.
Exactly.
The Rock was in Boulder on Friday. SmackDown that night was in Denver, and I started connecting the dots, and guess where The Rock showed up that night? On SmackDown in Denver, and I got that great moment. So because of Deion being there and The Rock going to see him, I got to see The Rock return to wrestling. So thank you, Deion. I love it. I digress. What happened in that game, it was a happening. It was a happening. That game started and kicked off, I think, at 10:25 Eastern time.
Yeah.
I had work at like 7 in the morning on yesterday. I didn't care. It was like it's like it was a drug. I could not get off of it. The game was so amazing. Incredible. Everybody stayed up, it felt like, on Twitter. I mean, it was lively as could be until 2:30 in the middle of the night. It was a happening. I couldn't look away from it. And then the game itself, I don't know if you'll find a better game than that all year. And we're talking about Colorado and Colorado State. I mean, when have we ever talked about or cared about Colorado?
Never.
And Deion has done that in year one. And guess what? Like he said going into this game, yeah, you know what? We're 7 to 8, as he said, dogs away. Yeah, I think they are. They got some flaws. And we'll see what happens with Oregon and USC. But for right now, it's fun as hell.
Yeah.
It's just fun as hell. It's the epicenter of college football right now.
Yeah, now they got, Oregon next week. And they're,
USC.
I think, 16-point underdogs, and USC.
And notably, Travis Hunter, by the way, this revealed this morning, out for 3 weeks.
Oh.
It sounded like Skip Bayless, actually, ironically, was the one who reported this and said he had a lacerated liver, I guess. And so he's
Cheap
out. And then Deion said 3 weeks. Yeah, why is that? Why is he not targeting right there? We call targeting on so many soft other things, but we can't throw that guy out.
Because he hit him with his shoulder. Well,
it should have been something like anything.
Yeah, it's a late hit. You get thrown out for pansy ass targeting shots sometimes that don't already. But you can have an egregious. They could have thrown him out of the game for that. Anytime if an official feels that it's so egregious that it's unsportsmanlike and it warrants a disqualification,
intent to injure.
Do that. Yeah, that was That was bullcrap. That was a cheap shot. And I hope he can get back. But he's not going to be back for their two biggest games, which is that's a killer. That's a killer, especially with a guy that plays both ways. So, and this is where, I had this conversation, like when somebody's asked me, why would he go to USF over Colorado? Well, this is where it comes down to it. They're going to, there's a chance that they could get their ass handed to them by Oregon and USC. And then everybody's going to say what? Oh, you can beat those other teams because TCU ain't shit this year. But you can't beat the big boys. Deion, you can't coach. And I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case at all. Whereas at USF, yeah, he might have lost. Shit, he probably could have beat Alabama yesterday. That Colorado team, and all those guys that were playing for Colorado, by the way, they're not in Colorado because Colorado. They would have been at USF, all of them, including Xavier Weaver and Joe Horn, who were the playmakers in the game. So all that team would have beat Alabama on Saturday. What's that worth? Probably the $30 million.
Travis Hunter would have been there.
Travis Hunter would have been there. Exactly. You say they would have had even more recruits because it's Florida. And this is the difference. Deion would run the table at USF. There won't be an opportunity for people to say Deion can't coach because he can't beat the big boys. And eventually he will beat the big boys, by the way, when he gets, as he said, 7 or 8 more dogs. He'll beat the big boys. But this year it's going to be tough. But at USF, he could have been here 1 year, 2 years and run the table. And then, because, by the way, Colorado's a stepping stone as well. Colorado, he's not staying in Colorado. That's a stepping stone to his next move, whether it be Alabama, FSU, whatever blue blood program he wants, he's going to get. And if for some reason Mike Norvell bit the bullet and went somewhere else, I'd hire Deion Sanders in a second. I don't know if he'd come back to you at this point.
Hey, I think Texas A&M. I think Texas A&M might have an availability soon.
Oh,
we can only hope.
Would you like Deion? Would you take? Well, you take anybody over Jimbo Fisher.
Bajillion%.
Of course.
I don't know if Deion would work in McCollege Station because it's just such a small town. I don't know that he would take that job unless he just saw it until I get the Texas job or the Alabama job or something like that. But I mean, I know we didn't talk Aggies, but for the love of God, can we please make a change at head coach? That's all. I'm done.
They got the money. Oil's up to $130 a barrel, I think now. So why not? Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Joe. But listen, all these Deion haters out there, and there's a lot of them. You tell me right now, if he wanted to come to your school, would you take him? If you say no, you're an effing idiot. You're an effing idiot. And listen, I'm a Knoll, and he has disrespected us tremendously on so many levels. Would I take Deion back? Hell yes. I would love to have him. I'm happy with my coach right now. Mike Norvell's doing a hell of a job.
But it makes everything so much easier, though. Every coach across America, for the most part, has got it to grind. Like Billy Napier, after a big win over Tennessee, dude is recruiting well into the midnight of the hours on the field with players there. They're grinding to get players in their program. With Prime, 75% of the battle, if not more, is already done.
Exactly. After that college game day and that game, he don't even have to leave his house to recruit. He's got The Rock. He just puts on the tape. Says, come to Colorado. The Rock's The Rock.
He had The Rock and Lil Wayne and Offset's on the sideline, and Gronk is on the sideline. Like, you name it, they're there.
Oh, my God. Could have been ASF. It's unbelievable. So, yeah, Colorado ain't his stopping man. And I don't think he goes to the pros, because I heard some people saying he'd go to the pros.
No way.
No, he's not, because, first of all, he wouldn't have the recruiting advantage in the pros.
No,
you don't have a recruiting advantage in the pros.
It'd be like the Urban Meyer thing, I think.
Exactly. And then you're all on an even playing field. And plus he wants to build young men. You're not doing that at the NFL level. He wants to build them, and I think he's sincere about that. So I think his eyeball is on one of the blue blood programs. Might be USC. Might be I think I could see Texas. I could see Austin.
I was going to say Oklahoma if Venables, because I know he's got the legacy there in Oklahoma.
Norman,
I like them right now.
It's close to Dallas.
Because I think the SEC would be good, but maybe if he wanted to Mississippi State or
I think Alabama. Arkansas. I think Alabama would be perfect, to be honest with you. Alabama.
Nick Saban's successor.
Yeah, they just make the handoff at the Aflac with the Aflac duck, and off they go. I mean, Aflac. Yeah.
I don't want to. Yeah,
and I'd never want to see it, because if he goes to Alabama, they'll never lose.
Yeah. No,
they will with those facilities and that conference and that stadium and that atmosphere and those alum. He will never freaking lose. If he goes there, everybody's done. Everybody is done. So, hey, you know what? College football brought this upon themselves. You know, it's transfer portal, it's NIL, it's free agency. It's done. All right. That was a hell of a show. Great job, guys. Appreciate your time as always. Nick, great job. Timmy, thank you very much. If you missed anything, we did the first half hour on the Rays, folks, and trust me, you're not going to hear that stuff anywhere else, anywhere in the marketplace. So go back and check it out. That's what's happening with this stadium deal. We'll see where it goes. But in a nutshell, you got the lawsuit to deal with. The city and county commissioners have to sign off on it. We don't know what the public money deal is. We've had hundreds of these announcements. Nothing's ever happened. And the biggest thing is it's stew. So take it with a grain of salt. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't forget tonight, Monday night football party at the patio from 5 to 7 o'clock. Peter Blake and I will be there. Come on by and have a beer with us, argue about all the Rays stuff, everything else. We'll have some fun. Brought to you by White Claw and the Jeeves Law Group. We will see you there. Have a great day, everybody.